Hi, there's Kevin with the Rogue Deck Builder, here with today's episode of the Thursday Night Commander. So I think Thursdays, since it's Commander Night at Gone Rogue Games and it's quite popular here, we fill up all of our table space now for Commander Night on Thursdays. So we're quite busy, and when I have time to actually sit down and play a game, I do like to still do enjoy Commander. I do rant about it a lot, and because shenanigans like what you're going to see here. And my main problem, you'll see this with this deck, is whenever I build Commander decks, it seems like all roads lead to playing a lot of the same similar cards. And so the creativity of building a Commander deck with each new set gets kind of less and less and less, or at least less viable amounts of cards you can play. And there seems to be a lot of cards that just you feel forced to play in Commander. I talked about this in my last Commander video. I'm not going to beat the dead horse. I'm sure the dead horse is sick of being beat. So I'm not sure if I'm going to get invited back to play Commander. We had some friends come over today and begged me to play Commander, and I had this scenario play out with them with this Commander, which is the Acererak the Archlich. So this is a pretty broken commander. In my opinion, the design was pretty terrible, that it said unless you've completed the specific dungeon. So it allows you to actually complete any of the other dungeons as many times you want, and Acereks will still get bounced back to your hand. So a lot of crazy combo pieces in this deck, as I can't hold this card still. Let's just go through it. Acererak is a 3 mana, and when it enters the battlefield, if you haven't completed Tomb of Annihilation, return Acererak the Archlich to its owner's hand and venture into the dungeon. And when, who cares about the next text, because you're never, ever, 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 ever going to have Acereks be a creature unless you're in desperation mode. But I still think you'd never, ever have this other spot to it. So basically, we're just going to use this guy to make a bunch of dungeon triggers. And that's how it's going to play out. Now, like I said, I don't think I'm getting invited back to play on the Commander table, because this was my opening hand. There were 2 other cards in here that weren't, it didn't matter. I can't remember what they were at this point. But basically, there was, I actually had a 4-lander in opening hand, Heartless Summoning and Carnival of Souls. And then it just went crazy, because on turn 2 is Carnival of Souls, or Heartless Summoning, either one of them, doesn't matter which one, which says creature spells cost 2 less. And Carnival of Souls says whenever a creature comes into play, you lose a life and add black to your mana pool. And so the scenario that played out is turn 2, turn 3, drop the land, cast Acererak the Archlich, and start venturing through the dungeon. And the dungeon that I like to venture through is going to be the Mad Mage. So basically this is infinite at this point. So Heartless Summoning is going to make it cost black. You pay the black, you float a black and lose a life. And then the Yawning Portal is going to gain you a life. Then you're going to scry 1. Then you're going to create a token, which gives you basically another free cast with Acererak without it's actually nets you up mana at that point. And then you scry 2, and then I typically like to exile the top 2 cards of the library. You may play them You probably would want to create the black skeleton tokens. This one doesn't really matter if you have the Heartless Summoning out, because it's just going to die and you don't get any value off the Heartless Summonings, but you do get the mana off the Carnival of Souls. So yeah, then you want to create the 2 black skeleton tokens, and you lose 2 more life. And then the scry 3, and then the Mad Wizard's Lair is, then you get to draw 3 and reveal them. And I immediately found one of the win conditions. I actually went pretty light on the win conditions for this, because you want to actually, dig, and then you'll eventually find one. And so the win condition that I was able to find was Yara. And so what a Yara ends up allowing you to do is now you have infinite triggers, and you're not going to die from the loss of life that happens from Acererak coming into play. And then you're eventually just going to, your opponent's going to drain, and you're going to win the game. A couple other things you can run is like the Cabal Paladin. This one is whenever cast a historic spell, is 2 damage to each opponent. That's an option. There are plenty of other options in here that work as win conditions. So I'm just going to kind of go down the list of cards that I end up going with this deck. I think I'm missing a Semblance Anvil, but other than that, I'm running there are a few other cards, just like a card out of like the Dark or Arabian Nights or something that's like super expensive that allows you to cast creature spells. It's like a 6 mana spell that lasts you to cast creature spells for 2 less. Or 1 less or something, and I didn't include it in this too, but I would if I actually had the card. But I'm not gonna pay like $150 for a card. So anyway, the cards that actually help you enable to go infinite with Acererak, of course, you have the Carnival of Souls and Heartless Summoning, which are 2 of the best ones. But then you have this bad boy called Sky Familiar, which allows you to discard a card and then add black. And why I include this in this is so you can pitch your entire hand, and eventually the Dungeon of the Mad Mage is going to allow you to draw 3 cards basically it gives you like looting power with the Scourge Familiar, and there's a few other ways you can draw cards with this deck too. But hopefully you can draw enough that Scourge Familiar can keep you going with Acererak, because the problem is gonna be that black mana. Because a lot of other things do reduce the colorless mana. So that's why Carnival of Souls is so good in this deck. And this is a reserve list card. This used to be dirt cheap. I was so stupid. I was going to buy this card out, and then because I knew that someday it eventually be broken. But oh well, wasn't the card that I targeted. I targeted Null Chamber instead. Anyway, the next one here, if I can get on camera, is the Ajora's Familiar. Just makes historic spells cost 1 less. Again, you just want, like, everything in this deck is going to want to be, you know, reducing Acererak, because once you can get Acererak reduced, Acerek's a pretty good way to start scrying through your deck and then finding your better reductions and other stuff. So then we have the Sculpting Steel. This is going to copy artifacts. I'll show you. I didn't put this in the best order. The Undead War Chief, zombies 1 less. Acererak is a zombie. The Bantu's Monument, which this one's the best, probably one of the best cards in the deck, because it also says whenever you cast a creature spell, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So that's another little Carnival of Souls combo here. So now you're adding a black, reducing Acererak, and hopefully by that point you can actually get there. Mage Mirror is kind of good in this deck. It's kind of weird though, because you can copy an artifact, creature, enchantment, and this is something you can just copy like you can't do a Bantu's. That's a problem. So I don't know if this actually wants to be in the deck or not, but I was thinking, okay, you can copy an Undead War Chief, then you can, you know, start getting rolling. But it's a big investment with the 2 mana, the 3 mana, if you want to be comboing as quick as possible. Herald's Horn, same thing. It's just a reduction by 1. We do have zombies in the deck, though, so you can get some value out of it. Cloud Key, same thing. You're going to name, most likely, need to name creatures, and then it costs 1 less. Crick, Son of Yawgmoth. This is incredibly powerful in this deck because for each black mana, you can pay 2 life. So again, you can start casting the black off Acererak and then going nuts. Jet Medallion, 1 less. Urza's Incubator, choose a creature type, 2 less. So this one actually has a couple other combos in this deck that I'll show you. So while we're talking about that, I have an honorary commander, since this guy's really, really tough to be your commander. And that is going to be this little spiel too of the Hakon Stormgold Scourge. So I kind of chucked this combo in the black deck. So if Hakon's in the graveyard, you can't cast it unless it's from a graveyard. And then once you have it in play, though, you can cast night cards from your graveyard. And so basically what you're going to do is one of these 3 cards, Maskwood Nexus, which creatures are every type. So Knights in the graveyard, Conspiracy naming Knights, and Ashes of the Fallen, which also is going to name Knights. And then you can cast all your cards from your graveyard. And then there's a lot of cool kind of infinite combos at that point that I'll show as the deck goes on. So I threw that little combo piece in there too to be like a Hakon deck as well. So this deck is kind of the wombo combo nonsense of black. It's very interactive. People are going to hate you for playing it, but it was kind of fun to build and try to find the right pieces for it. So the next little... let's just go down the creatures that I decided to use in this deck. First of all, I also have the Mikaeus combo in here, because why not? This is another way. It's a good scrying deck. It's a good drawing deck. So Mikaeus is, if creatures didn't have a +1/+1 counter, they get Undying, and then they get +1/+1 counters. And so you always have like combos like Workhorse or Mindless Automaton that can, draw you a lot of cards. Workhorse is kind of cool because it can add mana. And then again, if you've reduced the cost of cards, which so much of our deck is reducing, cost of the cards. I can't remember Workhorse is a type. I think it is a horse or something, but a lot of these other cards will reduce the cost of creatures. You can get it down where Mikaeus can go infinite with removing +1/+1 counters to then, to generate mana. Minus Automaton, it's drawing cards. Yawgmoth, Throne of Physician, actually works very well with a lot of the cards in here because you can use the kind of black skeleton tokens as resources to then start drawing cards. Proliferate's not that relevant in this deck. We have the Skullbert Merchant. So this one can actually add a treasure, and then if it's reduced, this can actually go infinite with casting from the graveyard, or you put this on like now I'm trying to think of the combo with this. So, but if you can reduce this down to it, this can actually go infinite. And it's another way just to utilize your like skeletons as a resource to start drawing cards. So after like board wipes and stuff, you have a pretty good draw engine. Bog Initiate, this one's pretty good too, because the black is the important part. So you start generating a lot of like colorless mana in this deck, or ways to add colorless mana. And then mainly in here for the This combo. Yeah, I need to show this, I guess, before we go on. So we have the two altars, the Astronaut's Altar and the Phyrexian Altar. So Astronaut's Altar gives you 2, and the Phyrexian Altar gives you one black, basically. And so this is the Bog Initiate combo with Astronaut's Altar, and it's just a good way. Again, like there are a lot of cards in here that can end up generating a lot of mana. Like Soul Rings, for example, you can then use them for the black, because a lot of times the reduction of Acererak is going to be easy for the colorless. It's the black that's the hard part. So that's why Bog Initiate's in here. And Astronaut's Altar and Phyrexian Altar, they have so many combos in here. That's another one with the Skullport Merchant, is if you can reduce the cost of it, and then you have a way to recast it from the grave, like with Hakon. It's another thing that can go infinite. All right, so next up we have same thing with Pity's Plunder. It's just a really good resource whenever another creature you control dies, you create a colorless treasure token. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with this. Like same thing with that Heartless Summoning. If you have Heartless Summoning out, and then you start going down Acererak, you're going to create the 2 skeletons and then die. That give you 2 artifacts. So you're going to be creating an artifact and creating 2 artifacts, or two black skeletons that end up being artifacts. And hopefully the Scribes will get you there that you can go infinite too with you're going through with Acererak. Priest of Gix is another card that can go crazy by ramping up with mana with the reduction. We have the Putrid Goblin. I have a bunch of these in here because you get 2 triggers out of this. So this is another one that does combo with Mikaeus. Another Trader, same thing. Whenever another creature is put in your graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay 1 to return another Trader from your graveyard to the battlefield. There's a lot of infinite combos with the Astronaut's Altar. Effects with that, same with Relentless Dead, same thing. You can return stuff back. Lazotep Reaver, you get 2 for 1. Walking Ballista, these are more the Hakon combo. You can then start casting them for 0 and then going crazy, and they also do work pretty well with good old, what's it called, Mikaeus. We have Gravecrawler. There's so many infinite combos with Gravecrawler in here. Universal Automaton, same thing. It's a changeling, so whether it be zombie, if you need it to be, it's just something that's going to be easy to reduce and then cast for 0 a lot of times. Shambling Ghast, when it dies, you create a treasure token, so lots of infinites there. Blood Pet, you can sacrifice that at black, same thing. It's something that can go infinite quite quickly. Headless Rider, you create another non-zombie, you create a 2/2 zombie, so you're going to 2 for 1 out of this, and hopefully even more out of a lot of value. And there's a lot of zombies in here that want to be sacked and stuff. Diary of Colossus, one of the better cards in the deck, because whenever you cast a zombie spell, you create a 2/2, and so that's another crazy thing you can do with your commander, is create a bunch of zombies. Pond of Ulamog, same thing. Whenever a non-token creature dies, you get an Eldrazi Spawn that can generate mana. Chittering Witch. I like this one because it gives you value for your tokens, but this is another combo that I have in here, which is the Astronaut's Altar. If I can find it, we'll be getting to it. And so basically, if you have or not Astronaut's Altar, Nim's Death Panel. So there's a combo with like anything that generates 3 tokens, itself in at least 2 tokens, and this is going to generate even more. And this actually works with Astronaut's Altar or Phyrexian Altar as well. So this is going to generate 3 tokens in Chittering Witch in a 4-pod. You sacrifice them all, and then it's going to add 4 mana to your mana pool. And if you have Nim Death Panel out, then it comes back, and then that way you can continue. And if you have 5 opponents, then you're going to actually generate up mana. So Chittering Witch is pretty good in this deck. We have the Slinging Lieutenant. Same thing, that it generates the 3 for. So it's an Astronaut's Altar will generate you infinite colorless mana. Another thing of that Bog Initiate that works with it. Same thing with the Marsh Flitter. I think there might be a better one than this one. Like there will be a couple cards. There was like a zombie that I saw that, or create tokens equal to Devotion of Black. That was kind of cool out of Modern Horizons. Okay, so now we're into like the tutors, like Quartz Connoisseur. It's going to go search up Hakon and put it in your graveyard. Dread Returns, a way to get back cards from your graveyard that you've milled or tutored or whatever. Buried Alive goes and gets 3. There are so many combos you can do with this sucker. Expedition Map goes against a specific land. We'll go over lands in a second. We got the tutors like the Diabolic Intent and the Demonic Tutor and the Entomb. It's very, very important to get Hakon in the bin. Got some draw in this deck like Fellstinger. Just thought that, hey, it's a zombie. It draws cards. What's not to hate here? Deadly Dispute creates the treasure. Skull Clamp. We have so many 1 toughness stuff in here. This is going to draw you so many cards, especially with the ability to generate those skeletons or the goblin on the other. Speaking of generate tokens, all of the monuments are pretty good with Acererak. This is not color specific. It doesn't have any, color specific stuff in here. So yeah, we don't have a white spell. I thought about putting Painter's Servant in the deck, and then Oakcatcher's Monument actually then like reduces because Painter's Servant makes what, all your cards, you pick a color and all your cards have that color in addition. I can't remember how it works. Or all cards are all colors. Can't remember exactly how that works with Painter's Servant. I think that's how it works. But they know Catcher's Monument would also work, because in your commander would be a white spell as well. But I decided not to put Painter's Servant in here. It definitely could go in here. I'm sure there might be some other combos you could throw in at that point, like a Grindstone or something. But all in all, I think this is fine. With Catcher's Monument just generating the 1/1, now every time you cast Acererak, it's going to generate you a resource. So there are a lot of stupid things you can do with it. With, like, again, the Ashnod's or Phyrexian Altar, it's a way to reduce the cost and keep going, or just allow you to have a huge army. Hazardous Monument, I decided to put Hazardous Monument in here too, because it's another way to just loot through everything and find what you need. And so oftentimes, you know, you got your combo sort of going. You've reduced stuff. Now you need to find that key piece. This is just you're gonna continue to just rummage through your deck to find what you need. There's the Nim Death Panel. So this says it's equip 4, and whenever a non-token creature is put in your graveyard from the battlefield, pay 4 to attach it to Nim Death Panel. So there's the combo. Ashnod's Altar generates up to Phyrexian Altar if you can generate the 4 tokens. And I think maybe I should go. Man, now I'm thinking about it. Isn't there there's a few others that do generate 4, and I think I probably should look at those and get rid of some of these other cards here that didn't quite get that. Panharmonicon, though, there's a lot of ETBs in this deck. It's your commander's an ETB effect. It's just a shoe-in for this deck. Alrighty, so the next slot, I guess we've gone through all. Like I said, you could add more win conditions. I just decided to go with the 2 because your commander can kind of be a win condition in and of itself by just the amount of value it generates. But that's all she wrote for the, where was it now? We have some of the flex spots here. Academy's Awakening. Lots of stuff in our graveyard. It can be a land, or this just, again, what I'm talking about, this just goes in every black deck. Why wouldn't you put it in? Soul Ring, Charcoal Diamond. These are kind of the ramp spells. Cold Steel Heart, Burnished Heart, Arcane Signet. You know, these are all the cards that can help you generate some mana. This isn't the most mana greedy deck, but what's cool about this deck too, the way you can build Acererak is you can actually build a lot of fast mana, and then just being able to cast Acererak multiple times is enough to do. And when commander decks get really, or commander games get really grindy, this is something your commander, it's easy to get back in your hand. Say it's died. I don't know how it would die. It gets counter or something. It's easy once you cast it again for your commands and get back in your hand. And then you can just start getting resources out of this guy. I mean, it's slow, it's grindy, but at least I've had commander deck games go down to the wire where this guy, you know, becomes valuable just to keep casting. All right, so leads us back to kind of our flex lands. We use a lot of basic lands in this deck. We have the Castle Lochtwain, just staple. The Cabal Coffers, Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth combo. Phyrexian Tower. Amazing card near to sack a creature, add black. It's just going to generate mana. Urza's Saga is actually super strong because you can get an artifact card with mana cost 0 or 1, which is Skull Clamp. Or I'm trying to think there's something else in here that they could work here, but usually it's Skull Clamp that you go grab. Or you can just go get one of your other artifact cards and throw it into play. Inventor's Fair, same thing. Yeah, there's a lot of artifacts in this deck, and hopefully you can get enough out to crack it. Same thing if it gets milled or destroyed. One of your key artifacts, you have Buried Ruin. And then we have the Suva to copy, Thespian's Stage to copy, Gaia Reach Sanitarium to loot, and the Cabal Stronghold to generate some additional excess mana. And the rest of the cards, I just threw some basic swamps in there. So that's kind of my commander deck tech with the Acererak. And it's been pretty fun. I enjoyed it, playing it. I enjoyed turn 3ing. Zach was actually playing that game too, and now he's going to swear off playing Commander again, because that's what Zach doesn't like about Commander is the multiplayer aspect where it can take forever, and also then people can wombo combo at no point, and they're like, wow, I sat down and shuffled for this. And I definitely do understand it, but yeah, I enjoyed this deck. I think it's a pretty creative, fun deck. I know it's been built probably by many other YouTubers and Showcase otherwise, but I think this was a random Commander. I opened up a pack or something with certain cards. I'm like, wonder what shenanigans I can do with this, because I didn't read this card the first time, because I just thought that when it completed a dungeon, then it came out as a creature or stayed in the creature. And no, it has to be that specific Tomb of Annihilation. And with Commander Legends 2 coming out, they haven't spoiled if there's going to be a dungeon mechanic. They did the party mechanic. I know that one's coming back for sure. And they did the dice rolling. But I don't know if they're going to do the dungeon exploration. So you got to think in the future there will be other dungeons. And maybe Acererak can be even more broken with, like, the Mad Mage definitely is the more broken route to go. The Lost Mine is all right because you can get to that one Goblin Lair pretty quickly. And then it goes into that, and then Dark Pool. and then draw a card scry. So this one's pretty easy to get where you want. You can actually go the other route too, with scry, treasure, gain a life, draw a card, which isn't bad at all with going this route too. But I typically like to go down the dungeon, the Mad Mage, because the draw 3 is huge to find your win conditions at the end. But yeah, pretty fun deck. I enjoy playing it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you enjoy these videos, definitely give it a thumbs up, give it a subscribe, give it all that shenanigans so we can get this algorithm going again. You can see my production has been increasing lately. It's mainly due to the fact we're back here in the studio. Still need to mess around with the lighting to get the glare off and stuff. Our camera can definitely do a better job than this, so I'm learning. I'll figure it out. One of these days I'll find someone that knows how to do the video stuff better than me, and maybe we can have a nice little happy marriage and create some nice little YouTube content where it's the higher productivity. But for me, I can't stand editing videos, setting up stuff. I'm in the wrong business for like all the mundane stuff. Just drives me insane, and I'm just too much of a player, not much of a worker. So if you enjoyed this video, regardless, I've been Kevin with the Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.